So guys, we're still trying to highlight the fastest way to get a green card from your original country of nationality while traveling to the United States. Now, I'm going to be covering the requirements for you to get a green card under the second employment-based preference visa class. This class, known as Eb2, came about as a result of the Immigration Act of 1990, which was targeted at catering for professionals of exceptional ability in the field of business, science, and arts. If you notice, some categories has been removed, which is a little bit different from the EB1 subcategory. Now, in the EB1 category, there was business, there was people in the academia, which were professors, researchers, there was science, there was art, there was sport. But for the EB2, it's just individuals who are professionals of exceptional ability in the field of business, science, and art. These individuals who are perceived to be people of exceptional abilities must have a skill set which is perceived to be of value to certain key sectors and fields in the US. Now, this is the criteria that these people are going to be judged under before they get granted visa. Now, I have to state this, guys. I have to state this very clearly so you guys understand it. I made this point earlier, but I'm going to repeat it. The Eb2 visa caters to people in business, science, and arts. But it exempts people who are applying for a national interest waiver. I'm going to talk more about the national interest waiver at some point in this video, but I just have to put this out so that there's going to be a clear distinction between people who are clear recipients, who this visa subcategory or this visa class is designed for, and those who are not eligible. Top professionals who are applying under the EB2 class of visa: 1, they need to submit labor certification. They need to have gotten a job offer. They need to have had the company that is giving them the job offer fill out a form for alien workers, also known as a form I-140. So these 3 categories need to be met before this visa is granted to professionals under this visa class. Just like the EB1 visa, the EB2 visa also is made up of 3 subcategories. Now, the first subcategories are people who have an advanced degree, people who have a master's degree and above, or people who have a bachelor's degree but can show that they have at least 5 years work experience and above. Now, it is very important that I make this clear. For the advanced degree category, you need to have a master's degree that shows an exceptional ability or an exceptional contribution in your field by virtue of use of this master's degree, either while trying to obtain it or in using this master's degree to secure a job. And if you have a bachelor's degree, the 5 years work experience and above I talked about needs to be a period of excellent contribution in your field of endeavor. For this particular subcategory, I mean the advanced degree subcategory, not all fields are accepted, not all professions are accepted. Some of the professions that are accepted are people who are architects, working in the field of architecture as architects, people who are engineers, people who are lawyers, people who are in schools as maybe a teacher, a lecturer, people who are doctors and working as physicians. Now, I'm going to throw more light on doctors down the line in this video, so I suggest you guys watch this video to the very end. I'm going to tell you how doctors are offered higher preferential treatment and the applications are accelerated quicker and they get their permanent residency, meaning their green card, quicker than other people who are applying for this class of visa. So I want you guys to watch this video to the very end. So let's move on to the second subcategory. Applicants who show exceptional ability in their line of work, either as businessmen, as scientists, or people who are working in the arts. They need to be people of exceptional ability and who have made huge strides in these fields to be granted visa under this subcategory. Now let's move on to subcategory 3. This subcategory is people who are applying under the National Interest Waiver. These are people who have made huge strides and contribution in their field of endeavor, maybe as businessmen, maybe in the field of science or in the field of art, and the US government has perceived this skill set as something that is going to enhance or make a difference in this field but in the US. What usually happens in this subcategory is all requirements and all documentations needed for an application to be granted under the statutes are waived. Okay, so you get your permanent residency, you get your visa, you get your green card without putting in documentation at all. Now, one of the people that are huge recipients of this category are doctors, particularly physicians. If you are a doctor or a physician and the state in the US you're traveling to maybe has a shortage of doctors or a shortage of physicians, your application is going to be fast-tracked under the National Interest Waiver subcategory, and you're going to get your permanent residency and your green card quicker than other people who put in applications under the Eb2 class of visa. Okay, so these are one of the people who are huge beneficiaries for this subcategory. Another benefit under the subcategory of National Interest Waiver is you get bestowed the benefit of those who are applying under the first category of the Eb1 visa. Those who are applying as people of extraordinary ability. It means you have the power to be a self-petitioner. Okay? If you want to know the meaning of petitioning or who is a self-petitioner, I recommend or I suggest you go back to the first video on the Eb1 visa, particularly the extraordinary abilities subcategory of the Eb1 visa, which was covered in the first video, and I touched about it. I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible. It's already longer than it should be, but I'm trying to keep it as short as possible, so I just want to bomb on and get this done. So if you want to know about it, just refer back to the last video, and I talked extensively about self-petitioners under the extraordinary ability subcategory of the Eb1 visa. Now, you're going to ask me a question. Fuse, I want a green card as fast as possible. Don't they all? Don't they all want it? Yes, but I want a green card as fast as possible. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm into IT. I'm in the IT sector. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm into the agricultural sector. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm into this and that sector. Am I eligible to get a visa, to get permanent residency, to get a green card under the Eb2 visa? Yes. Yes and yes and yes, you are indeed eligible to get this visa granted you. However, some conditions need to be met. One of those conditions are you need to show exceptional ability. You need to show exceptional ability in your value rendition in whatever business you are into. If it is perceived that you are one of exceptional ability, or your deliverables or whatever service or product your company is offering is one that offers exceptional value to people, you're going to be granted this visa as quick as possible. To receive an E2 visa or to be a recipient of the E2 visa is worthy of note. I have to tell you that a quota system is practiced in this particular class of visa. So I'm going to tell you the amount of people that get this visa every year. So you're going to know, if you can keep track of the amount of people that have already gotten this visa, then you'll be able to properly decide when to put in an application and when to wait for the next quarter to kick in. Okay. Since September of 2012, the Department of State in the US has been the one in charge of putting the quota. I'm talking about the limit of people that are granted this visa under exceptional ability criteria. So the Department of State has been the one that set the limit, and this has been in place since 2012. The worldwide limit of people that are accepted every year to come to the US under the Eb2 class of visa is capped at 144,951. And each country gets a 7% quota system. It means it's 7% allocated to each country of the worldwide cap. These are people accepted per country to become permanent residents and get the green card, in one word, citizenship in the US. Let me just put it out there. This is irrespective of your country's population. Okay, so a country like Nigeria that has over 200 million, and a country like Ghana that has maybe 30 something million, or South Africa that has 50 something million, is irrespective. Each country that is coming in under this particular class of visa gets 7%. And when that 7% quota is reached, any application that comes in is either deferred to the next status, which is the Eb3, or halted for that period of time. Those who are applying for EB1 or applying under the class EB1 visa, whether it's EB1A, EB1B, or EB1C, not all of them get the visa. Now, this is not because they didn't meet the criteria. They could be people of extraordinary ability, they could be top professors and researchers, they could be top executive and management people, but as soon as the quota system gets exceeded, they get pushed on to the EB2 status. So the EB2 status gets a lot of spillover from people who are applying for the EB1 status visa, okay? The worldwide cap for Eb2 visas is capped at 28.6%. Okay, it's capped at 28.6% of the worldwide cap of 144,951 that I stated earlier. Now, this is because, like I said, spillovers from the EB1 class of visa application are spilled into the Eb2, and those applications also have to be processed. So it limits the chance of people applying for the Eb2 class of visa. Some people from the Eb2 also spill over to the Eb3, but this will be covered in the Eb3 class of visa. If you want to know more about the Eb2 class of visa, which talks about people who are also lesser in skill sets, you might want to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, so when that video drops, you catch it and get informed on what to do. To get more information about applying under the employment-based preference visa, I would suggest you log on to the fusechronicles.com website. We extensively covered this topic. In fact, we have individual articles for the individual classes, the EB1, EB2, and EB3 visa. So I suggest you log on to fusechronicles.com and read up on this. It's more in-depth because in this video we're trying to save time, so we're trying to compress a lot of information into just a time span. But in that article, or in those articles, we went deep and told you all you need to know about the application process, the duration, the time, and all that stuff. Okay? Now, application. How can you apply? What are the requirements for application? Okay. For the EB2 class of visa, you need a labor certification. I've told you what a labor certification is. If you don't know what that is, you need to refer to the first video. I cover what a labor certification, but simply, labor certification are the terms of agreement between yourself and a United States employer, the wages you're going to be paid, accommodation provision, allowances, bonuses, and that kind of stuff. It's covered in the form I-140. Petitions are submitted on your behalf by your United States employer. You don't do it by yourself. You're not going to be self-petitioned unless you are applying for the Eb2 visa under the subcategory National Interest Waiver. This is the only time under this class of visa that you're going to have the right to submit a self-petition, okay, to the consular section or to the State Department. All right, so I had to put that out there. When applying for the Eb2 visa, there is a date that needs to be met. It's not like your other visa classes while trying to get into the United States that don't confer on you permanent residency or a green card. There's a fixed date that has to be met, and this doesn't have to be met by the applicant, it has to be met by the US employer. So if the US employer is interested in securing your services or acquiring your services to come to the US to work in the labor force, they need to meet this date. All the documentations, Form I-140 and all petitions that need to be put in need to have been submitted before the due date. If this due date is not met, your application is not going to be processed, you're not going to be granted visa. Now, if you are applying for an Eb2 visa under the advanced degree category, whether a master's degree was secured or whether you have a bachelor's degree and you have a 5 years work experience, this visa does not cover people who are in the process of bagging that degree. You have to have bagged that degree. You have to have secured your master's degree already. You have to have secured your bachelor's degree already and have work experience to back it up. If you are in school and you're looking to get a master's degree, a PhD, or a bachelor's degree, and you put in an application, it will not be considered. You will not get this visa. Okay? And after documents are submitted, I'm talking even the labor certification, your Form I-140, the vetting process continues till you're granted your green card, your permanent residency in the US. The Eb2 visa class is more flexible than the Eb1. I'll tell you how. I'll give you an example. There are some employers in the US who are going to accept a combination of education and experience in place of a bachelor's degree. Okay, I'll repeat that. There's some employers in the US who are going to accept a combination of education and experience in place of a bachelor's degree. One criteria that cannot be compromised with is the fact that you need to be a personality with exceptional ability in whatever field you studied in or you're working in to be able to meet this particular criteria. When this is done, if an employer waives the requirement for a bachelor's degree because maybe you have an A-level certification and ample work experience and decide to waive a bachelor's degree, it needs to be itemized in the labor certification that your employer waived this criteria because you had this and this. This is one of the reasons why the labor certification is there for. I'm trying to break this down so that even a layperson who doesn't understand the workings of immigrations in the US or immigrations in whatever country can watch this video and understand what it takes to get permanent residency or a green card as quick as possible in the US. Now, remember I said that some companies could waive the requirement for a bachelor's degree because you have some level of education and ample work experience. Work experience usually is from 5 years and above. It is worth stating here that the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, the USCIS, might not be predisposed to accept this. The employer could accept this, but the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, the USCIS, might not be predisposed to accept a waiver of a master's degree or a bachelor's degree. So that the company waives the requirement to own a bachelor's degree in favor of accepting an applicant who has an education qualification backed with work experience. The USCIS might not be predisposed to accepting this, and you could get turned down even though you get a company that offers you employment without a bachelor's degree. You could get turned down and rejected visa by the USCIS. Okay, so that the company accepts this does not mean the USCIS will accept it. Beneficiaries of the National Interest Waiver who have successfully had their petition approved are exempt from filing labor certification by their employers. Okay? I'm going to talk more on how to pass your petition or get your petition approved if this video can get at least 1,000 likes, and if I get 500 comments down in the comment section that says tell me more. I'm going to make a separate video on how to pass your petition, on how to get your petition approved. Now, you're going to ask me, Fuse, a second employment-based preference visa under the national interest waiver sounds very interesting. It feels like you don't have to do anything. All you just have to do is to show that you are a professional in business, science, medical, and arts of exceptional ability, and show evidence of this and you're done. No documentation. How do I get access to the national interest waiver subcategory of the Eb2 Visa? Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. You need to show that the field of endeavor which you are currently practicing in, whether it's business, whether it is medical, whether it's art, you need to show that it is going to be of significance in some way, shape, or form to the United States government. Maybe you might have made huge strides in this particular field. You need to prove that you're going to be able to replicate the results gotten in this field in the US, and you're going to be granted this visa. Number two, you need to show that the huge strides you've made in this field is going to take this particular subsector in the US to a whole new frontier, a whole new level. So if you are a scientist or you are a business person, your mode of operation right now in your country of nationality should be in such a way that when you go to the US, applying these principles or this method that you use in conducting your business should be able to move this sector in the US to a whole new level. It should take it to a higher level. Number three, waiving the requirement to have a job offer or the requirement to have labor certification should be in the best interest of the United States government. So you're a businessman, so you're an artist, so you are a doctor, you're a scientist. If they decide to waive your need to get labor certification, you need to get a job placement, you should be able to be one of exceptional ability whose contribution in the US is going to be perceived as valuable and in the best interest of the United States government. If you can meet and prove this criteria, you're going to be granted a visa as quicker than any other person else who put in an application under this class of visa. What are the cost implications of securing this visa? How much would it cost you to get an Eb2 visa, whether it's under the different subcategories of the visa? How much would it cost? The application processing fee collected by the State Department to process your second preference employment-based visa is $405. For the petition for alien workers, which is your form I-140, you have to pay a processing fee of $700. So a combination of $405 and $700, I think it brings the total sum to $1,105 that you need to pay for this visa to be processed. This fee was put in place from September 2012. So guys, this is it right here for the second preference employment-based visa, Eb2. This is all you need to know before you put in an application for your Eb2 visa to be granted or to receive a green card or a permanent residency in the United States under this class of visa. Like I said in the last part of the Eb1 visa application process, if you want to learn more about the Eb2 visa, I would advise that you go to our website, which is fusechronicles.com. We went in depth, analyzed this visa class and how you can get this visa, okay? So stay tuned. I'm going to be moving on to the Eb3 visa category. To catch that content, to catch that video, you need to go down, smash the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you can catch that video when it drops. That video tells you how to get visa, get your green card and your permanent residency in the US for people who do not have exceptional ability, but people who are awesome in their service rendition in whatever capacity they're working for the company in, okay? So stay tuned, that video is gonna drop in a minute.